John Deere will be shutting down its Ottumwa plant for about a month-long period.
Notifying John Deere right now.
John Deere has announced the temporary closure of its Ottumwa plant for about a month, sparking a political firestorm. Former President Donald Trump, seizing on the news, issued a sharp warning: if John Deere continues moving its manufacturing operations to Mexico, he would impose a 200% tariff on every product the company attempts to sell in the United States. This threat came amid growing outrage over what many see as a corporate betrayal. For over a century, John Deere stood as a symbol of American resilience, its iconic green and yellow machines dotting the fields beside the stars and stripes. But that legacy is now in jeopardy. The company's decision to shift a significant portion of production from Iowa to Ramos Arizpe, Mexico, sent shockwaves through rural America. Farmers, factory workers, and even political insiders were blindsided. What was framed as a strategic realignment to optimize logistics and improve efficiency has been interpreted by many as a cold act of abandonment. Thousands of jobs have been lost, and what once represented pride and heritage now feels like a symbol of detachment and corporate disloyalty. Communities built around John Deere's factories, places like Dubuque, Waterloo, and Horicon, are reeling. These aren't just job losses, they're identity losses. Generations of families who dedicated their lives to the company now find themselves unemployed and directionless. As factories shutter and wages disappear, local economies are collapsing. Grocery stores, repair shops, and even schools are feeling the ripple effects. In response, workers have begun to fight back. Strikes, protests, and labor complaints have erupted, organized by groups like the United Auto Workers. These demonstrations aren't just economic, they're emotional, fueled by betrayal and a desire for justice. As rural Americans unite across state lines, a larger movement is gaining steam, one that calls for a return to Buy American values and demands accountability from the very corporations they once supported. Former allies are turning against the company. Farmers, once the heart of John Deere's success, have begun to boycott the brand. Outraged by rising equipment costs, restrictive repair policies, and a perceived abandonment of rural values, they've started removing Deere logos from barns, organizing online, and sharing tips on alternative brands. Ditch the Deere has become a rallying cry from cornfields to town halls. This isn't just about brand loyalty, it's a battle for the future of farming. The right to repair movement, fueled by Deere's tight grip on software-based equipment diagnostics, has only intensified frustrations. Farmers argue that they should have the freedom to fix what they own, without being beholden to proprietary tools or waiting days for certified technicians during critical planting or harvesting periods. Despite a 2022 agreement with the American Farm Bureau promising more repair access, enforcement remains elusive. For many, it's a question of ownership and autonomy. Do they truly own their equipment, or are they simply leasing it under another name? Meanwhile, Deere's push toward automation, robotic tractors, AI-powered sprayers, and precision software has widened the gap between mega farms and small, family-run operations. These new machines, often costing hundreds of thousands of dollars, are financially out of reach for most, further concentrating power among the largest players in agriculture. Instead of leveling the playing field, technology is accelerating rural inequality. Jobs are disappearing, young people are leaving, and once thriving communities are fading into memory. Progress, it seems, is leaving the heartland behind. Unless policies begin to support smaller and cooperative farming ventures, this technological divide may irreparably reshape the agricultural landscape. All of this comes at a time when U.S. agriculture is already in crisis. A crackdown on immigration under the Trump administration has crippled the labor force that sustains fruit, vegetable, and specialty crop production. Deportations, visa restrictions, and worksite raids have left crops unpicked and fields rotting. Even with increased wages, domestic workers have not filled the gap. Farms are closing, food prices are rising, and supply chains are faltering. The industry's reliance on immigrant labor, documented or otherwise, has never been more clear. Without comprehensive immigration reform, this fragile system risks total collapse. Adding to the pressure, sweeping tariffs reintroduced in 2025 have wreaked havoc. A 10% blanket duty and targeted tariffs of up to 125% on imports from key partners like China, Mexico, and Canada have made farming equipment prohibitively expensive. Supply chains have been disrupted, and farmers are turning to aging machinery while scrambling for scarce replacement parts. Retaliation from trade partners has only made things worse, with suspended deals and lost export markets. Contracts decades in the making have vanished overnight. The administration's promise of domestic revitalization has yielded little revenue but immense rural devastation. Family farms are going bankrupt at record rates, while only the largest agribusinesses, those insulated by capital and global reach, are managing to stay afloat. In the end, John Deere's move was more than a manufacturing decision, it was a breaking point. It marked the unraveling of a once unshakable bond between rural America and one of its most iconic institutions. Now, as communities wrestle with a new economic reality, they're asking hard questions about who truly benefits from progress and who gets left behind. Starting in 2022, American farmers were hit with yet another crushing blow, a dramatic collapse in crop prices. Global agricultural powerhouses like Brazil, Argentina, and India unleashed record-breaking harvests of corn, soybeans, and wheat. Backed by government subsidies and cutting-edge farming technology, these countries flooded the global market and undercut U.S. prices by as much as 30%. By 2024, the market was saturated beyond control, demand simply couldn't keep up. Corn prices plummeted by 37%, soybeans by 24%, and wheat by 35%. For an industry already operating on razor-thin margins, the impact was devastating. This wasn't just another tough season, it was an existential crisis. Many American farmers had taken on significant debt in recent years, investing in land expansions and equipment upgrades. When prices collapsed, their ability to repay loans evaporated. Banks, alarmed by the rapid decline in commodity values, began pulling credit lines and demanding immediate repayments. With no cash flow and no access to credit, countless farmers couldn't even afford to plant their next crop. The fallout from this market collapse rippled through rural communities. Equipment dealers, grain elevators, and local agricultural cooperatives, all reliant on steady harvests and stable prices, suffered massive financial losses. As farm incomes vanished, so too did the small-town economies that revolved around them. Jobs were lost, businesses shuttered, and the already fragile rural infrastructure teetered on the edge of collapse. In a desperate bid to stay afloat, some farmers tried to outproduce the downturn, planting even more in the hope that volume might offset plummeting prices. But this only made things worse. The resulting surplus deepened the deflationary spiral, pushing prices even lower. And for smaller operations, those without the capital or access to large-scale production, this tactic wasn't even an option. They were left with no lifeline, watching helplessly as the market continued to erode beneath them.